What's up, good people? So yeah, Happy New Year. Well, it's not a Happy New Year if you are in New Orleans because, as we all know, there was a pretty horrific attack carried out by an individual yesterday evening at around not yesterday morning at around 3:45 in the morning. Um, Motive is still unknown, but apparently he was working. This is apparently the suspect that was detected, Shamsud Din Jabbar. So, yeah. And a bit more on him later, but let's see what he has to say for himself. He was a property manager at Blue Meadow Properties.
Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken those skills and applied.
Okay, so this guy is a veteran of the United States military, a native born black American citizen. So the We Are the News Elon cultists on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I will continue to call it Twitter. But anyway, these assholes were like, "Oh no, he crossed the border, and he was a Mexican Muslim that came to New Orleans to run over innocent party." No, this guy was born and bred here. He's from Texas, uh, U.S. military veteran, and former property manager. So yeah, there is no foreign connection to any of this. There was supposed there was supposedly a fucking Daesh and ISIS flag on the back of his truck. That was also not the case. That was a jacket that had been left there.
Them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator. So not only do I brilliantly market your property to make sure it gets sold as quickly as possible or gets leased as quickly as possible, but I'm also going to take every ounce of energy and putting it into negotiating for you and for your property to get the best deal that you can possibly get for
So we've got real estate agents apparently doing terrorist attacks now.
it. So once
There has to be more to this fucking story. Like, I mean, yeah, people do get radicalized on the internet, but I don't know. I don't know if this guy had some bad luck in his business or something like that, but there has to be more to this fucking story. And the guy was a United States military veteran. There were apparently IEDs that were found left around the French Quarter, New Orleans. So, yeah, again, like, if you don't know what the fuck happened, don't speculate because these things, okay, there are a lot of crazy ass people in this country. Yes, all of the contradictions are infecting the nest. There are a lot of crazy ass people in this country. So, and Americans, for some reason, are not an investigatory group, okay? We believe whatever we hear first and we run with it. Americans are also very violent people. So please, for the love of God, do not engage in baseless, idle speculation when stuff like this happens. Because, first of all, you're going to be getting innocent people fucked with. And two, if you identify this person or trying to be uh, wannabe investigator, what's going to happen is some nut is going to see your Twitter post if you have a big enough account, or they're going to see whatever nonsense you write on your blog, or God forbid, if you're a journalist, they're going to read this shit and they're going to go and they're going to hit up the nearest mosque. Or they're going to go hit up the nearest center where they think migrants congregate. So please, for the love of God, do not engage in idle, baseless speculation. Like OG said, no investigation, no right to speak. So back to this
we
fella.
get to the closing table, all the I's are going to be dotted, all the T's are going to be crossed, everything's going to go off without a hitch. And that is my word that I'm giving to you as your real estate agent. So if that's the type of agent you're looking for, reach out to me. You see my phone number on the page. If not, it's 832-774-9718. Give me a call. And
I'm not giving you a call. You're not going to pick up. I cannot stand people that do not pick up the phone. Yeah, it's crazy how the mainstream media initially ran with him being Daeshi. Like, you have to consider, like, the mainstream media in this country is 100% and thoroughly controlled by the powers that be, by the same people that grind us down. So these people, they are paid to construct a narrative. Okay, these people do not give you news. They give you propaganda. They give you what they want you to hear. They tell you what they want you to think. They do not want you to be an objective thinker, because when you're an objective thinker and you are working class, chances are you're going to end up being a communist. I've learned to hold my opinions on things for a few hours to a day. See, this is a smart person. This is a real communist.
Even if you don't want to have me as your agent, call me with any questions you may have. So even if you're a first-time home buyer or you're an experienced real estate investor and you're just looking for somebody to help you with doing some analysis on some properties that you're looking at, either way, give me a call. I'm glad to help anytime, and I'm looking forward to talking to you. Good evening.
So that's an old YouTube video of his. Appears to be, for all intents and purposes, before he allegedly did this stupid shit, just an average, ordinary, everyday dude. But again, we don't know what's going on in people's heads. We don't know why people do what they do. We don't know what's going on with people. Let them speak for themselves. So Jacqueline Sweet has Shamsud Din Jabbar's LinkedIn profile. It was deleted, but she was able to get some stuff off of there. So let's see what he was. His current job was an information technology team chief at the U.S. Army Reserve. His previous jobs were information technology team leader at U.S. Army Reserve, information management officer at U.S. Army, senior information system specialist at U.S. Army, human resources supervisor at U.S. Army, human resources specialist at U.S. Army, data entry operator at U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, data entry clerk at U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, data entry clerk at United States Postal Service. Education. Central Senior High School. Bachelor's of Business Administration from Georgia State. Graduate from Fort Gordon Non-Commissioned Officer Academy. Bachelor's from Campbell University. He was a transfer student. Graduate from 25B Information Technology MOS training. Graduate from U.S. Army Alaska NCO Academy. Associates from Central Texas College. Associate's degree from Central Texas College with honors. Graduate from 42A Human Resources Specialist Advanced Individual Training. Graduate from U.S. Army Basic Combat Training. And he also took courses at the University of Houston. So, yeah, again, veteran, pretty normal guy, but you never know what's going to happen. So, I believe the death toll is up to 15 people. Either way, a lot of people got fucked up. I saw videos yesterday that I'm not going to share because it was extremely graphic. So this live stream is not about trumpets and saxophones and shit. You know, I played trumpet in middle and high school. I wasn't really all that good at it, but hey, what are you going to do? I tried. I tried to be black. I tried to be the new Miles Davis, but it just wasn't for me. That was not my ministry. Look at me sound like a Christian. So these are cops and shit hanging around at this is his truck here. He crashed into a crane. There's a dead guy under the crane. Oof. And I can just like imagine being at like an event. Like we all go out. We're all people. We like hanging out, clubbing, party and stuff like this. Like, I don't care what your cause is. If you get into a car and just start mowing down random people are probably not going to people are probably going to hate you, as they should. You don't do stuff like this. You're Muslim, and it's no lie that everyone just assumes it's us 100% of the time. Yeah, this is not a very good country, not a very good time. Like, Muslims have been the subject of low-intensity warfare in this country since before 9/11. Last week it was Taleb Jawad al-Motion, the anti-Abdul motion, the anti-Muslim immigrant German and far right supporter. Yeah. And Elon and all the other weirdos, like they were rushing to be like, oh my God, it's ISIS. Oh my God, it's America. No. This guy was a fucking surgeon, if I recall correctly. He was from Saudi Arabia, and he hated his people, and he hated the religion that he grew up in. So he went out there and he did this stupid shit to try to get attention for some reason. So yeah. Cops hanging around the scene. That was last night. This is pretty nasty, pretty gross. And they have New Orleans apparently has these barricades, like little triangles that pop up to prevent people from doing stuff like this. But apparently they were malfunctioning because it's New Orleans. Like the motto of the New Orleans Police Department is "Not our problem, dude." So yeah, I saw a picture of one dude sitting in this tactical operator truck, and the dude had his head down playing with his phone. Granted, this was before the shit happened, but whatever. I imagine that's some type of rifle or something in that case in the back of his truck. But yeah, pretty gross to see. It's a wonder he didn't get his head sheared off when he crashed into that crane. New Orleans is a beautiful city. I've always said that New Orleans is what my hometown St. Louis would be if St. Louis actually gave a fuck. But a very pretty town. Like we had a lot of architecture like this. Well, not like the balconies and shit. I believe that's Spanish, but we had a lot of old French colonial architecture. It was all destroyed to build highways and the arch and a bunch of other stupid shit. Yeah, he drove around the police vehicle. He drove on a sidewalk. That's where most of the people were killed. Like Bourbon Street, that's where all the tourists go. That's where you go to drink and party and hang out. That's like the main drag in New Orleans for that type of thing. So he figured he was going to try to have the maximum impact. So of course you got to go to Bourbon Street. Ish. Yeah, just varying angles of the scene, but and people are rushing to call this a false flag. Like, not everything is a false flag, okay? Like, crazy people exist, people that are radicalized on the internet exist, people that aren't having very good luck in business exist. The war of all against all makes you paranoid and schizophrenic. I don't know. I think that has more to do with living in an end stage capitalist hellscape. Horsey. I don't know what the Horsey's going to do, but yeah. That's the mayor of New Orleans, Latoya Cantrell, making a statement. That is the chief of police. Well, they call their chief of police the police superintendent. Yeah, there's varying politicians hanging out. And this is the United States Senator. Well, one of the United States senators from Louisiana, if I recall correctly.
Is an act.
A follow-up, if I may.
Let me just say this. We recognize we got a problem here, right? We're going to fix it. It is going to be a top priority.
How do you fix fucking lunacy? How do you fix people being radicalized? Or like you're not going to do anything.
As we go into the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras, and the solution that we're going to come up with.
There were a couple of big ticket football games scheduled. I think one of them was rescheduled. For some reason, the South names all of its football games like the fucking Sugar Bowl. So you name it after the cash crops that my ancestors were forced to pick. That's pretty shitty.
It's going to be a permanent. It's going to be placed into the standard operating procedure of having major events and securing that quota.
A follow-up, if I may. Obviously,
here's the thing. Like, you could throw all the money at something. Like, the United States has the most massive surveillance and security state in the history of the world. Like, this is literally 1984 that we live in. So it doesn't matter how much money you throw at a problem. If somebody wants to do something, if somebody wants to get into a vehicle and run down people, like, what are you going to do? Ban cars? Like, it's just like banning guns. We're never going to ban guns in this country. Yes, I did see that there was a attack at Trump Tower. Just I would call it a terror attack because it didn't kill anybody but itself. But yeah,
Sugar Bowl
more on that later.
Postponed till tomorrow, but I'm sure after that game, a lot of people are going to want to celebrate. Are there plans to keep Bourbon Street closed? What does that look like?
So right now, Bourbon Street is an active crime scene, and the FBI is in charge of it. When they clear it, and it does not become an active crime scene anymore, we're going to open it up.
I love how these right wingers, like, they always try to seem decisive. We gonna fix it. We gonna fix it. We gonna bring out so much police. Y'all ain't gonna even recognize Bourbon Street no more.
Olivia Vidal with Fox 8. Can we ask about this military police presence that you want to call it?
Why would you bring? What are MPs gonna do? Like, they've been in the New York subway for months, and all that they've done is play Candy Crush. Like, did the fucking MPs stop that lady from being set on fire last week? Of course not. A dude got pushed in front of a fucking train yesterday in New York City, and the MPs weren't there, or they were just standing around doing nothing. Like, why would you bring bruh? Military is for killing. Like, are you bringing these people in to shoot at your citizens? What the fuck are you bringing the MPs? Bruh.
Well, this is a private
Military police. Like, are you just going to declare martial law in the city or something? Like, what's the end game here?
Security like Blackwater. Also, would that be a first?
Blackwater, bruh. It doesn't matter how many mercenaries, it doesn't matter how many fucking weekend warrior ass MPs you bring in. The dude that allegedly did this is a United States Army veteran of many years. Like, if people want to do crazy fucked up shit, they're going to do crazy fucked up shit. What's my New Year's resolution? I don't know, stream more, spend more time terminally online.
A private security firm is mobilized to supplement local and state law enforcement.
No. We're not. This is our National Guard. These are our citizens that we bring in. It's a military police company that we recognize we need some more resources. we need some more boots on the ground.
What resources do the MPs have to offer you? These people are literally trained to beat up soldiers and throw them in brig or throw them in jail. What's the purpose of it?
Because again, what we're doing now is twofold. We've got an active investigation and we've got enhanced security. Before this event, we were just enhancing and working on security.
Okay, I'm sick of this asshole. He's not saying shit. Also, a thing that's look at the Chuck Clark desert boots under my bed. My room is a mess. I need to organize it. Zionist Michael Rappaport, also known as the Brotherhood of Steel Knight, who died in the Fallout series, is going to be coming to Philly. He looks like a piece of chopped ham, and he has been hanging out in Israel quite a bit after October 7th. So my good buddy, James Ray, Good Vibe Politic, throw him a follow, says that if you're someone from Philadelphia or really anywhere who doesn't want a dried up scrotum of a Zionist performing in your city, you could always call the Fillmore, the place hosting his upcoming February event, and tell them how you feel. The number is 215-309-0150. So yeah, do that. Let's see what my buddy Jack Sweeney has to say. He is in New Orleans. He's the co-chair of New Orleans DSA. He's an OPDEC member, District B, and he also grew the world's largest okra. So, of course, Jack always coming in handy in the best DSA tradition with a class analysis of the situation. He talks about how the city is repeatedly failed by its leaders who see themselves more as managers of a theme park for tourists than representatives of people who actually live here and make New Orleans the great city that it is. New Orleans police chief says the majority of mass casualty victims who are local in the Sugar Bowl will be safe as there are scores of UGA fans in town. Jack goes on to say that tourists come here because New Orleans have built an incredible city. Our leaders don't seem to understand that and have little to no respect for the working people who make the city worth visiting and who lost most of this attack. Like the dudes literally just said that Bourbon Street is closed. So a lot of people are out of work. Like a lot of these people, they're tip workers. They depend on tips. Like they need these jobs. So you don't get paid. There's going to be no way for you to Uber to work. There's going to be no way for you to pay the people to watch your kids. There's going to be, it's going to be a hard time. This is misinformation quit spreading misinformation. Large boom heard in New Orleans. Okay. It's, if I recall correctly, New Orleans has a shitload of construction going on. They also, for some reason, this is not that guy. The mainstream press is reporting. Oh, that's that fucking lunatic. Look at him. He looks bankrupt. This guy gives big bankrupt energy. I can't believe they didn't I think they had some type of lawsuit to stop the Onion from buying InfoWars. But yeah, the most unforgettable people of 2024. Yeah, let's see the lunatic rapped.
Look at my face. I am not afraid. Put my face on camera.
Well, what is wrong? Why do you want attention for yourself, lady? Like, can you imagine me just wandering around downtown somewhere being like, just having a shirt that says black and just getting at random people. Like these people they don't give a fuck. Like they don't give a fuck about it being there. Like if civil society, okay, if these protests were as anti-Semitic as everybody's been claiming, then like why the fuck? Like you would be getting jumped immediately. These people are ignoring you. You're there to seek attention for yourself and some bullshit victim narrative. Like get over yourselves, people. What is wrong with you?
Show my face.
She's out there. She doesn't even have anybody rolling with her. You're out here all by yourself. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody cares about you. Go home. Do something productive and constructive. Yeah, people just want attention. This is apparently the Israeli ambassador to the UN. Why haven't they kicked him out of the UN yet? Oh, I know why. Because the UN is basically it's a puppet of the United States. That's why.
You are shredding the UN Charter with your own hands.
Oh, this is my favorite.
From the river to the sea. Leave me alone. Don't hurt me.
This is this dude is a fucking Bethesda game character. No, he's a Grand Theft Auto NPC.
Palestine will be free. Leave me alone. No, don't hurt me. From the river to the sea. Don't hurt me. This is so fucking hilarious, dude. Don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Please. No. Please don't hit me. We have an actor here. Please. Oh, God, no. Don't help me. Occupation is a crime. Israel out of Palestine.
This dude had to have been doing like nobody is this deranged. Here's another one.
Why are you wearing a mask? Literally. In your face, that's right. You're disrespecting my religion. Why are you wearing a mask?
See, people don't play this shit with black people. Like today, because they know that we're simply not going to tolerate it. We're not going to allow it.
Hey, hey, who's this is mine. This is mine. This is mine. I'm not letting it go. Don't touch him. Don't touch him.
So yeah, we laugh at this shit. We think the shit is funny, but it's obvious that like political violence is becoming. It's always been normalized in this country. Like this is what people don't forget. I mean, this is what people constantly forget. Like this shit is not new. Like you literally had a United States Charles Sumner, United States congressional representative in the antebellum era. He was literally like beaten half to death by a senator from a slaveholding state. Okay, like violence in this country, it's as American as apple pie, as H. Rap Brown said. So, again, the FBI, do I trust them? Absolutely not. They do not believe that this individual, Jabbar, was solely responsible, said Alethea Duncan, an assistant special agent in charge of the FBI's New Orleans field office. Jabbar allegedly drove a rented pickup truck onto a sidewalk, going around a police car that was positioned to block vehicular traffic. A barrier system meant to prevent vehicle attacks was undergoing repairs in preparation for the Super Bowl, which is scheduled to take place there in February. Police killed Jabbar after he exited the truck and opened fire on responding officers, Kirkpatrick said. 3 officers returned fire. 2 officers were shot and are in stable condition. Police said at least 33 people were hurt in the attack. I'm not donating to the Associated Press.
Today at approximately...
Photos circulated amongst cops showed a bearded Jabbar wearing camouflage next to the truck after he was killed. The intelligence bulletin obtained by the AP said he was wearing a ballistic vest and helmet. The flag of the Islamic State group was on the truck's trailer hitch, the FBI said. Do I believe the FBI? Absolutely not. Do I think this is a false flag? Absolutely not. I honestly think this guy was just some nut. But, yeah. Zion Parsons of Gulfport, Mississippi, said he saw the truck barreling through, throwing people up in the air like it was in a movie scene. He then said he heard gunshots and ran through a gruesome aftermath of bleeding and maimed victims. Bodies all up and down the street. Everybody screaming and hollering, people crying on the floor, like brain matter all over the ground. Like when these nuts do stuff, why don't they just hurt themselves? Like why do you have to wrap innocent people up in you? Like these people did not go out to get fucking murked. This was supposed to be a day of joy. It's New Year's, for fuck's sake. When you do stuff like this, like what cause, besides nihilism, again, like Daesh, like ISIS, what cause would be advanced, would be furthered by people getting in vehicles and running over young people that are out just trying to enjoy themselves for the new year? It doesn't make any sense. I'd say don't do shit like this, but terrorists, I don't think, watch my stream. At least I hope they don't. So this brought me to mind of a really, really good book I read. I have a copy on my bookshelf behind me, but I highly encourage you to read it. It's Phil Neal's Hinterland. And this is from the first chapter titled Oaths of Blood. So it's not just lone wolf shit, although that is the stock and trade of right-wing terrorists. They pretty much developed this method of like, okay, they like right wingers back in the 80s, even up to today. They don't like groups. Communists love groups. That's one thing that differentiates us. That differentiates us from the enemy. Right wingers, they exist to sow chaos. Okay, so when we talk about the right wing's embrace of violence, I mean the right wing has always been violent, but their violence is different than ours. Okay, our violence is to revolutionary violence is to liberate the people of the world. It's not to like communists would not get in a vehicle and drive through a crowd of people because those are the people that we're supposed to help, unless the crowd of people are CEOs, of course. But so what is right wing terrorism about? It's about sowing chaos. Okay, like people do not understand that many of these right wingers are revolutionaries, meaning that a revolutionary is somebody that wants to overthrow the current order of things, right? We communists are revolutionaries because we want to overthrow the current order of things and establish a dictatorship of the working class and eventually communism all over the world. Right wingers, on the other hand, they're reactionary revolutionaries. They want to go back to the system as it was centuries ago. That's why you have all this Groyper shit. Many of these people are hardcore Catholics or various other hyper-traditionalist forms of religion. When I said hardcore Catholics, I didn't mean like Dorothy Day. I meant like trad cats, those types of people, J.D. Vance types. So their reactionary revolutionary method, it's essentially elitist. They think that the people are sheep that need to be either put down, expelled from the country in case of non-white people are simply killed, or lorded over, dominated. So I found this fascinating. This is some shit that communists would do, except it's for a reactionary cause. But if you're familiar with DSA politics, you're familiar with the inside-outside strategy. The Oath Keepers, a bunch of renegade cops, have an inside-outside strategy. So Neil writes, the Oath Keepers also piloted the Patriot Movement's inside-outside strategy, within which local self-reliance initiatives were only one slightly more direct tactic among many. They literally stole this from the Black Panthers. This strategy puts an equally strong emphasis on inside work via formal administrative channels, facilitated by entryism into local government in the Republican Party. So I guess I do agree with them on one thing. Local politics is where it's at. Like you can have far, far more of an impact on the life of an everyday person by running for a school board, by running for alderman, by running for mayor if your town is small enough, or shit, if your town is large enough, if you have the backing of a strong DSA chapter, like in the coming decade, like I honestly see a lot of DSA members getting mayoral seats or capturing a majority of the board of aldermen in relatively progressive cities as the Democrats continue to show their ass and demonstrate that you really can't trust them. If you watched me and Comrade Dominic's interview with Aaron Dixon yesterday and the report on Rojava, Comrade Dixon mentioned that the Revolutionary Black Panther Party was able to capture many, many aspects of the governance of the city of Oakland. Like you literally had the Black Panthers showing up, meeting with Lionel Wilson, the first black mayor of the city of Oakland, and making policy. Like that is what DSA needs to be doing. And DSA, honestly, I think if we get our shit together and if we have a real revolutionary line and strategy, we could do it. So going back to Neil's writing, I really love the interview, by the way, in a way that synthesizes well with the outside work they do in defunded timber country or along the U.S.-Mexican border, where they prepare and establish parallel structures of power. If you're familiar with your Lenin, that is a nation, a newborn dual power situation. So the Maoist theory of protracted people's war, right? It goes through three stages. You have your strategic defensive, which is when you're just starting out. And by the way, these stages can last like decades. You have your strategic stalemate when you're basically par with the forces that you're fighting. And you have your strategic offensive, which summed up is when you take over the whole country. So these dudes have read Mao. They're establishing parallel structures of power, and they are, of course, armed. These are cops and military veterans, for fuck's sake, in America, for fuck's sake. And yeah, they're way ahead of us on this thing. While filling in the holes left by underfunded law enforcement in Josephine County, for example, Patriot-affiliated politicians were also leading the opposition to new property tax measures that would have allowed the hiring of more sheriff's deputies. In this area of the country, I believe it's in Oregon, you literally had the cops that called when they were called by, say, a domestic abuse victim. They were literally just asking people to move to areas like Portland where the cops would actually come. That's a sign of a structure in collapse. Okay? Like if you call the cops and they do not come, or they tell you to move somewhere else, you're cooked. Okay? Your country is not long for this world. This, of course, would have helped to widen the funding shortfall further, helping extra state militias to step in and begin building their own power within the county. The Patriot parties thereby seek to extend and secure the economic conditions for their own expansion. So basically, you gut the local government so that your own boys can move in and take shit over. That's smart. That's a communist strategy applied by reactionaries. The thing that makes the Patriots unique, then, is their recognition of the need to build power within these wastelands and their surprising ability to outcompete the dwindling state and local progressives in this endeavor. These groups are essentially engaged in a battle for competitive control, a term used by the Australian military strategist David Kilcullen. If you haven't read Kilcullen's work, I highly recommend that you do. Like, yes, he is a bourgeois military expert, but I really like his writing on guerrilla warfare. Get out of the mountains. Kilcullen was a senior advisor to General Petraeus in 2007 to 2008, and then he was a special advisor on counterinsurgency to Condoleezza Rice. Kilcullen wrote about describing the rise of guerrilla forces within the interstices of failing states. America is a failing state, okay? America is a failing state. We do not have to, like, I keep seeing people talk about, like, what we can reform America. Like, no, you cannot reform a failing state, okay? America has too many contradictions. America is too overstretched around the world. And the people that run this country, they are delusional, okay? So if you have a gerontocracy, okay, Trump is the oldest president-elect. He's even older than Reagan. Trump is the oldest president-elect in American history. He eats like shit. He's overweight. Okay, basically, this guy is not going to be long for this world. It's very possible that he might bump off in office. So you're going to have J.D. Vance in office. Okay, so one thing that communists need to do is quit, like, and get, like, I keep seeing people, like yesterday, people were arguing over Deng Xiaoping and this and that. Okay, we don't have any impact on the Chinese government. Yes, Deng Xiaoping was a shitty, horrible revisionist. I've explained this many, many, many times. China is no longer a socialist country. But you know what else isn't a socialist country? The United States. So it's our job, those of us who live in this country, to actually work and build so that we can compete with these people. The title of the stream is 2025, the Year of Brass. Not even 24 hours, hell, not even 5 hours into this year, we had a man drive through a major American street, a major American tourist destination, killing 15, 20, a shitload of people, and hurting almost 100. Then we had a Cybertruck detonation. My first thought when I see this was that this is one of those Elon cultists that got mad because his boy is being challenged by the anti-immigrant right. So he decided that he wanted to load his car up with fireworks or a bomb. From the video that I've seen, it appears to have been fireworks. So he loaded his shitty Cybertruck up with explosive material. And he did this. He drove to Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, and this. No, it was on purpose. He loaded his vehicle up with explosive material. I hear fireworks going off. There's probably also some type of pipe bomb or something in there. But he loaded his vehicle up with explosive material, drove it to the valet entrance of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, and blew himself up. So you've literally got Elon cultists that are carrying out suicide attacks now. The battery blew it. So yeah. They don't know who he was. He was in the vehicle and he died. They probably don't have all that much of him to identify. This dude followed a reporter for 40 miles and strangled him. A man allegedly followed a news reporter for 40 miles to a station where he attacked and strangled him after accusing him of not being an American citizen. According to an arrest affidavit obtained by the Associated Press, the incident began when 39-year-old Patrick Thomas Egan parked beside reporter Jaron Alex's news vehicle at a stoplight and shouted something similar to, "Are you even a U.S. citizen? This is Trump's America now. I am a Marine, and I took an oath to protect this country from people like you." Egan then followed Alex's news vehicle in his own work car. He drove a taxi cab for a sunshine ride, so working class dude. He followed this guy back to the KCCO KJCT station, which was around 40 miles away from where the initial argument took place. Both men arrived to the station at the same time, and Egan chased Alex as he attempted to run into the building, police said. Egan allegedly demanded Alex's ID. Police said that upon refusal, Egan tackled Alex and strangled him until Alex's co-workers managed to restrain the attacker. Police arrested Egan and charged him with bias-motivated crimes, second-degree assault, and harassment. This was a terrorist attack, and this was an attempted murder. Why wasn't he charged with that? The death toll, yeah, this is what I was reading earlier. The death toll in the attack has risen to 15 people. The White House confirms outgoing President Biden will not pardon his son. I thought he already did. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah, back to Neil. Kilcullen argued that the success of insurgencies such as the Taliban in Afghanistan, as well as the rise of expansive criminal syndicates in places like Jamaica, can both be explained by the ways in which such groups succeeded in providing a predictable, consistent, and wide-spectrum normative system of control. Basically, we need to be able, as leftists, to run shit. If we don't run shit, then, why would people follow us? People do not, as people, especially Americans, they do not follow ideology, okay? Why did that guy strangle that reporter down near death? It wasn't because Trump, released a manifesto or anything. It was because Trump appealed to his id. Trump appealed to his basest, most emotional self. Plus, this guy was already off his rocker, okay? You literally had a working-class taxi driver who jumped on a reporter and strangled him almost to death. So, that's where we're at. Okay, that's where we're at. So, we have to start looking at, how do we get to run shit? How do we establish this predictable, consistent, and wide spectrum normative system of control? Because right now the stereotype of those who are called progressives or socialists or democratic socialists is that we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. That's what people think of us. So naturally, they're going to turn to authoritarian military cock riders. They're going to turn to people like that. And that's who radiates strength to these people. So you can write all the manifestos you can want. You can talk about the guiding thought of President Gonzalo all you want. To the average American, that goes in one ear and out the other. Over a population, how to win over a population buffeted by the chaotic inconsistency of economic and cultural collapse. So shit is going to get worse. By providing material incentives that guarantee stability combined with threats of coercion for those who oppose them, such groups become capable of making the population complicit in their rise, regardless of ideological positions. In fact, Kilcullen points out that in such situations epitomized by all-out civil war, support for one faction or another simply does not follow ideology. People don't throw their weight behind those they agree with, and often many in a population can't be said to have any deep-seated ideological commitment in the first place. Instead, support follows strength, and ideology follows support. Political or religious attachment is often an after-the-fact development preceded by the capable intervention of a pragmatic, functional, partisan group that begins as a small minority of the population. The entire model of patient organizing follows the insurgent logic detailed by Kilcullen. So yeah, you all need to get David Kilcullen's books and you need to study them. And like, the dude is brilliant. Yes, he is our enemy. He's our class enemy. He's not a revolutionary or anything like that. But again, you have to. The mark of a good revolutionary is the ability to learn from people that we don't disagree with. I mean, people that we don't agree with. That's how you make a revolution. That's how you are able to build that normative system of control that that David Kilcullen talks about. But a lot of people, they are strangulated by dogma, and yeah, they just can't get their shit together. And if we can't get our shit together as a left in this country, then we are not going to be able to survive the years of brass that are coming. Because, I mean, shit, you know what? Fuck coming. They're already here. Where is Wop Goblin's post? She made a really, really good. Fuck. Wop Goblin, you talk too fucking much. You post too fucking much. I can't find your post that I wanted to talk about. God damn you. It was a prediction for what is going to happen this year, and it is very compelling. Where are you? It was posted yesterday. It was my fault. So, predictions for 2025. Trump will pull support for Ukraine and refocus it towards a war with Iran. Yeah, I see that happening. Trump will continue to saber rattle with Canada and Mexico. I saw somebody predict that Canada is on the verge of having a right-wing government, so he may drop Canada, but Mexico, like, that's his bread and butter. That's how he riles up all these ignorant-ass motherfuckers to back him. So I don't think he's going to leave Mexico alone. So yeah, he's definitely going to continue saber rattling with Mexico. Trump will begin preparations for mass deportations of U.S. residents by transitioning hundreds of large complexes into migrant detention centers, aka concentration camps, which will be forced labor centers, essentially making those deported into these places into slaves for their corporations. I definitely see him doing this to the homeless, like we already see on social media. People are talking about like, we need to do something about the homeless. We have, and it's going to be bipartisan. Like we have, what book was that? That is Phil Neal's Hinterland. Here, I'll give you a link. Oops. Yeah, Phil Neal. I believe he's an anarchist of some sort, but from the mouths of babes. There. Link. But yeah, read that. Back to Wop Goblin's prediction. Yeah. So I stopped here. Yeah, that's definitely in the works. Canada will hold its elections fairly easily, and the Conservatives will win in a landslide, shifting the nation to the far right, right, and an administration far more willing to negotiate with the Trump regime, aka giving them nearly everything they want. Yeah, I mean, Canada is basically our punk anyway, so yeah. Food prices will continue increasing past the expected rate of inflation, a U.S. stock market crash. Major climate event worse than anything in 2024. Democratic Party will capitulate to Trump as they did with Reagan, and masking will be made illegal across much of the U.S. Homelessness will be fully criminalized across the U.S. There's already been like a creeping war on homelessness in the United States. And what I think a lot of these reactionaries want to do, they either want to let drugs kill off unhoused people, or they want to do what the Nazis did. They want to put them in concentration camps and force them to work. Much of the homeless will be used as the first subjects in the forced labor camp plan, though it may just be the logistic building stages, and the atrocities may begin in 2026 and beyond. Same with mass deportations. Anti-American protesting will be formally made illegal. I mean, we do have a basically a Supreme Court that makes Reagan's court look like the Supreme Court of the Soviet Union. But I think there's enough free speech junkies in this country that this is going to be a tall order. Terror attack, likely false flag. The U.S. used to manufacture consent for war with Iran and more military support for Israel. I also see that happening. Nazi fan cams and explicit Nazi extermination blew up on social media, even more than 2023, 2020, 2024. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. Trump's regime creates more radicalization but less radical action than would be expected, as most Americans are hopeless and afraid, instead distracting themselves with treats and thinking there's no way things can be different and giving up without a fight. So basically kind of what happened in the 80s. Like Aaron Dixon mentioned yesterday in our interview with him that like he thinks that as shit gets worse, as Trump does more and more stupid shit, that more Americans will be radicalized. But he also he has a boomer doomer view where he's like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess Aaron is 75 years old. So he's seen shit. So I guess he went through the revolutionary struggles of the 60s and 70s. And he was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we had our shit together then, but we still lost. Like, people just idly throw around the terms of revolution and throw around revolutionary rhetoric without really knowing the sacrifice, like how fucking grating and grinding this work is. So, yeah, I definitely see this happening. You have accelerationism on one end. Like, we have to make shit as shitty for people as possible. No, because if you make shit as shitty for people as possible, then the people are going to focus on treats. They're going to focus on themselves. Americans are not a collectivist-minded people. We have to build that. Socialist stories reach record numbers in the U.S. and Canada. Definitely see that happening. Germany goes full Autonomie für Deutschland. I mean, Nazism is in their blood. So, yeah. France faces constitutional crisis. I believe they have one of those every week. Syrian sanctions are not lifted. Nation is plagued with sectarian massacres targeting religious minorities, and the Syrian government does not confront Israel at all. Yep. Anti-Indian race riots in Canada. Definitely see that. It's going to eternally cast away their fake Canada nice bullshit. Chuds become even more radically far-right after the far-right leaders do not deport their non-white/immigrant populations in the way they wanted due to using them as slave labor for corporations. I mean, that's the reason why these people are up here in the first place. Like, people don't understand. They have not deported all of these people en masse because the corporations need them. Americans are not going to be out picking any fucking tomatoes and lettuce. Americans want to sit in an office all day and shoot out emails and make $750,000 for doing absolutely fuck all. That's what Americans want. Americans do not want to do hard work. Okay? That's been bred out of us. We are a nation of do-nothings. We are a nation of ass-sitters. So, yeah, definitely right on that one. Trans oppression and abortion restrictions begin at the national level under Trump. Yeah. Trans healthcare restrictions under the new Canadian government, under the UK Labour government. Yeah. UK is turf island. Syria is used as a launch point by Israel against Iraq and then Iran. Definitely. Major right-wing victories in Latin America and Europe. I don't see Latin America. I don't think, Bukele, I don't see a lot of people backing him. And you also have Javier Milei, who has basically driven Argentina to the breaking point. Like, there's a massive protest against that dude Argentines are literally fleeing to Chile. Okay? That's how fucked up shit is. Chinese economic partnerships continue building in Southeast Asia, yes. Mexico faces sanctions by the U.S. government. That'll be fun. Trade war against China by the Trump administration, and mass social services cunts in U.S. and Canada. I guess I'll be a full-time streamer because I'm going to lose my fucking job. Another CEO or politician is targeted. Just one incident where U.S. law enforcement opened fire on American protesters. You know, they did this in the 60s a lot. Like, they literally had the National Guard come. Like, 20 or 30 people would get killed in riots. 20 or 30 people would get killed each time they had a riot because the National Guard would come out and they would bayonet people to death or they would just shoot them. Far right in the West attempts to sway Russia against China through promises of neutrality and a State Department pivot against China. That's interesting. Major species goes extinct. Might be Homo sapiens, might not be. Elon Musk and Trump fall out once Trump no longer needs him. American media pivots to cautious approval of Trump through his far-right approach towards Iran, the economy, the homeless, and protesters. People do not realize that Democrats have Hitler particles in them too, okay? Look at what Gavin Newsom is doing in California. Marvel Rivals continues popping up. I don't give a shit about Marvel. Trump increases domestic oil production, increases American nuclear stockpiles, and abandons nuclear treaties. Nothing about nuclear energy, though. Like, people do not understand nuclear energy, if it's carried out right. Like, I do not trust America with nuclear energy, just like I would not trust the revisionist collapsing Soviet Union with nuclear energy. That's why Chernobyl happened. But under a socialist system, nuclear energy is dope. I'm a big supporter of nuclear energy. Nuclear weapons, no. Canada increases domestic oil production, abandons clean energy projects. Definitely see that happening. It'll make the Albertans and Manitobans very happy. Multiple industrial and environmental disasters in U.S. and Canada. You know, America has a remarkable ability to memory hold these things. Like, remember what happened in Georgia yesterday? That BioShield or whatever. Like, you literally had, it looked like something out of the day after tomorrow, and then nobody did. It was big news for like 2 days, and then everybody quit talking about it. Phil Neal is a communist geographer based in the Pacific Northwest. Thank you. You know, there was at one time I wanted to be a fucking geographer. God, the Democrats are going to be on board with all of this, but turn around and blame the left for all of this once Trump is out. That is also a very good prediction. Formal annexation of the West Bank will begin. Syria will join the Gulf State Economic and Foreign Relations model, aka a puppet state of the U.S. Rest in power, Assad. Major left-wing electoral victory in Latin America and Europe, and Latin American states will crack down further on those fleeing to the U.S. So, yeah, I think Wop Goblin might be right. I mean, one of her predictions has already come true. I don't know if it was a false flag or not, but we've already had a terrorist attack a few hours into the fucking new year. Name every nuts one region. You all want me to play the fucking Sporkle game again? You all think I'm bullshitting? All right, I'll do it again. It keeps my mind sharp. I like these little games. I don't want to fucking leave me alone. There we go. All right, let's see how many fucking countries I can name. All right, inter-country. Canada, USA, Mexico, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, San Marino, Vatican City, Ireland. Let's do some African countries. Egypt, Libya, Malta, which is technically not an African country, Cyprus, which is certainly not an African country, Tunisia, Morocco, South Sudan. I think I forgot them last time. Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Senegal, Comoros, Seychelles. Wonder how they're doing in the anti-Houthi brigade. Yemen, Madagascar. The fuck? Madagascar. South Africa, Swaziland, Lesotho, Angola, Namibia, Botswana, Malawi, Mozambique, which isn't doing so hot right now, Chad, DRC, Republic of the Congo. I don't know why they don't just unite. Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, Central African Republic, most generic name ever, Mauritania, which still has slavery, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Algeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Benin. There's a little hunk there. I already got Namibia. See, it's always this shit that gets me. I think that's Sao Tome and Principe, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Gabon. What are these little shits right here? I don't know. I'm good. Zimbabwe, Zambia, Equatorial Guinea. Well, I got one of them. I don't know what the hell that is. PRC, Taiwan, Indonesia, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Costa Rica, Belize, Guatemala, okay, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Bahamas, Grenada. All right. Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Tonga, Solomon Islands, Andorra, Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, Mongolia. Let's do the stance. Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. I already got them. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Georgia, Ukraine, Belarus, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, what's that little shit? Monaco, Greece, Macedonia, Albania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Czechia, Poland, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. How the fuck do I even remember all of these planets? Liechtenstein, Slovakia, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Romania, Moldova, Iceland, Austria, Croatia, Serbia. Mauritius. Oh, South America. Can't forget the Brazilians. They will not let me. Peru, Colombia, Suriname, Venezuela, Guyana, Ecuador, Bolivia, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile, Saudi Arabia, Palestine, Israel, Kuwait, Jordan, Syria, Oman, Qatar, Malaysia, Singapore, Iran, Iraq, Bahrain, UAE, Philippines, Micronesia, Kiribati. I'm still tripping off how the fuck I remember all these places. Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, DPRK, South Korea, Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Thailand, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Japan, Maldives, which may or may not exist for much longer. I think that's it. There. 92% of the countries in the world in less than 10 minutes. Thoughts on Taiwan? It's a renegade. It's a renegade Chinese province. Basically, the Israel of East Asia. You saw a very interesting street interview this morning on Conakry, the capital of Guinea, on whether people wanted the national language of Guinea to be Susu instead of French. Some people thought it might create ethnic tensions, or that Piol or Fulani might be better, but everyone still preferred it the French. Have you ever heard anybody speak French? Of course they prefer people to speak their native languages. Who wants to speak fucking French? So, back to the matter at hand. Let's see if there's any updates about this truck situation. Well, it's bad luck to whistle at night. I don't want to summon evil spirits. I've got enough as they are. No updates. Same old shit. Oh, here we are. I'm not in the live update section. So, yeah. Death toll has risen to 15 people. Oh, God. I hope they don't bring back... Does anybody remember from the 2000s, from the Bush administration, that fucking horrible color-coded thing? Like, it never went below yellow. FBI has been warning about an elevated terrorism threat. This had nothing to do with Palestine. This had nothing to do with anything. The New Orleans coroner says that now that 15 people were killed when a driver deliberately struck people in the French Quarter. It will take several days to conduct autopsies, and there will be slow release of subjects that were murdered. So, 37-year-old father of two from Baton Rouge was among the 10 people, well, 15. Reggie Hunter had just left work and was headed with a cousin to celebrate New Year's when the attack happened. His first cousin, Sherelle Jackson, told NOLA.com. So, yeah, their families and friends are talking about them, as they will. That's fucked up. Like, with names like Reggie and Sherelle, this dude was obviously black. But, yeah. That's crazy. And again, this serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever. No purpose whatsoever. Like, how does this advance the situation? All right. So apparently, according to NOLA.com, there were suspected bombs that were found. But they were in the car, not planted around the French Quarter like everybody was saying that they were. I hate fucking paywalls. I'm not paying you. A list of predictions made in 1925 about 2025. Did they do a mini Israel? I mean, considering that Taiwan is probably the biggest source of bullshit in East Asia, well, I don't know, after South Korea, then yeah. It's basically Israel of the East. A list of predictions made in 1925 about 2025. Wireless age in year 2025 is predicted, okay? People will live to 150. If anything, our lifespan is declining because we eat like shit. We'll laugh for the very joy. There will be nothing in the world to laugh at 100 years hence. Well, that's true. Even at that, life 100 years hence will not be without its compensation for nothing to laugh at. Will be no efficiency. Expert reformers, welfarers, uplifters of glad handers. Food will be delivered by tubes from communal kitchens. At breakfast, which may come up by tube from a communal kitchen, a loudspeaker will take the place of the morning paper, giving him all the news, while a television machine will replace the daily pictorial newspapers. He will then go to his office in his own car, which will be carried by an elevator to the door of his office. That is extremely inefficient. If he has to go anywhere on foot, moving sidewalks will convey him without exertion. That would be dope. And automatic telephones will be everywhere and will get the right number all the time. Well, they didn't predict the cell phone. In AD 2025, there will be fleets of giant airplanes capable of carrying 50 passengers from London to Paris, just 50 people, and back in a couple of hours, or to Constantinople between breakfast and dinner, while those whose haste is less, there will be airship expresses. Nobody uses airships anymore. On scores of routes, able to carry 500 passengers from London to Edinburgh in 3 hours, or across the Atlantic between dawn and dusk of a summer day. The average man of 2025 will be awakened by a radio alarm clock. He will then take a few minutes of radio light treatment. Radio light treatment, that sounds poisonous. To keep fit and alert for the business day. Little time will be wasted in putting on a synthetic felt one-piece suit and his hat, the latter being worn almost continually owing to the fact that baldness will be almost universal then. The world's greatest cities 100 years hence. San Francisco first, New York second, Sydney or Melbourne third. No oil a century hence. World supply will soon run out. Professor Lowe thinks that the smoking of tobacco will be a thing of the past by 2025. Thank goodness we shan't be alive. The books of AD 2025 will probably be printed on nickel leaves, so light and thin that a single volume will contain 30,000 pages. Well, some of y'all do write, like y'all's words of text and you all's weird-ass rants could definitely fill 330,000 pages, if not more. And the pages will be more flexible and durable than paper. Thus, it will be possible to place on a single shelf the equivalent of 2,000 of our present volumes. Each book will weigh less than a pound. Mr. Edison has already produced a pound of these nickel leaves, lighter and more flexible and much more durable than paper at a cost of 5 shillings. 100 million population in Canada. Interesting. It's amazing how much they predicted, but how little they got wrong. Eh. Why does Z allow Taiwan to keep completing their evil projects of exploitation unchecked? I thought Taiwan was the main enemy of the PRC. No. Taiwan is not the main. No. They still beef with each other, but no. I would say that the main enemy of the PRC is it's the U.S. They're in economic competition with each other. They have cross-border agreements and all that stuff. Like, China is not going to, they may saber rattle, but yeah, they're not going to fucking try to conquer Taiwan. They're not going to do that. They've basically agreed to leave each other be. But there's still going to be contradictions in the Pacific because the U.S. and China are they going to go to war? Probably not. That would be a disastrous war that would result in the eradication of both countries, never mind the whole ass human species. But what will happen is there's going to be continued saber rattling between the U.S. and China, and there's going to be a lot more proxy bullshit going on. That's definitely sure. As for domestic shit, watch out for more of these attacks like happened in New Orleans. You're going to have fascists. You're going to have all types of other people that are going to continue their bullshit. So arm yourself, join a socialist organization, make friends with your neighbors, and live. Happy New Year.